Hey guys, just here with the MT-07 Gen 3 2023 model. I've had this bike for about a year and I just wanted to give you guys my 2 cents, give you a review on what I think about the bike, what's good about it, what's bad about it, after riding it for about a year and a half. So firstly, I've done some upgrades on this bike. Some are aesthetic, some are performance related. The first one that I really got into was the tidy tail. So the factory rear tail for the MT-07 is very ugly. It stands at around up to here. It just makes the aesthetics of the bike look pretty poor. And that was probably the first thing that I did. I changed it out for a compacted tidy tail just to make it aesthetically look better. I'm pretty sure I have a before and after picture, which I will put up for you guys to have a look, and you guys can be the judge of whether it looks better or worse. Then secondly, I came and I did the Akrapovic carbon exhaust. Now, I've gone one step further and I've actually removed, if you can see here, I've actually removed the baffle inside the exhaust, and that just gives it a little bit deeper, louder noise, which makes the bike sound really cool and really amazing. I would say that's probably due to the fact that it's got the CP2 engine by Yamaha, and you would be doing a disservice to this bike if you didn't change the factory exhaust out. Once again, I'm pretty sure when I changed it out, I have a before and after, so I'll put it up. You guys can be the judge of which sounds better. It definitely sounds more aggressive when it comes to the Akrapovic exhaust compared to the stock exhaust provided by Yamaha. The next upgrade that we did was the sliders. Now these are more of a protective upgrade. They are very cheap, but they can save you hundreds if not thousands of dollars. Basically, if you drop your bike, it will protect the engine from getting damaged to some extent, and the fairings. And luckily I haven't dropped this bike yet, so fingers crossed. The next one is that we have the MT-07 radiator guard. Now this radiator guard is just to protect from any stones flicking up and going into the radiator, puncturing the radiator, making it leak coolant and having to replace the radiator, which is another cheap upgrade. I think it only cost me about 30 bucks, and it basically can save you hundreds once again. Now to some aesthetic upgrades, we have the bar end mirrors. I just like the way it looks, nice and tidy compared to the stock ones which protrude out here. I've just put some bolts on it to close it off. But yeah, the stock ones are pretty ugly and they just point out like antlers, so I don't really like them. I put some stock ones, some bar end ones, and took the stock ones out. I've got some domino handlebar grips and they match the color of the wheels, keep the color scheme the same. And we've got a quad lock mobile phone holder, so we can look at our GPS, see where the cops are, try not to get fined or pulled over. All right, I'll just do a go around so you can have a look at the bike. It looks pretty aggressive, has that naked street fighter look to it, and overall I'm very happy how this bike looks. Definitely turns heads, and I get a couple of people once in a while coming up and asking me about the bike. Okay, let's go for a test ride. All right, let's go. First thing first, firstly, this bike is The sound this bike makes on the Akrapovic exhaust is just amazing. It literally turns heads. It literally turns heads everywhere you go, honestly. And like I said before, I've removed the baffle from my exhaust. So I've removed the baffle from my exhaust, so you can hear the pops and bangs even better than when it does have the baffle in. So my first point would be that this bike looks amazing and sounds amazing. It's just such a joy to ride this bike, honestly. The second point I want to make about this bike that I really like is that how torquey it is. Now, the simple way to explain to people who don't know what torque is that it can accelerate. It's got a lot of power, so it can accelerate really quick in a given power band. And because of that, it just makes the bike really playful. Knowing that you have that power band, knowing that you have that power when you need it, and it's very responsive. Like I said, between 3,000 to 5,000 RPM is the sweet point for this bike, and it just makes it so responsive. So playful and just so fun. Now, the second point I want to make is that, as I demonstrated, this bike is very flickable. Because it's got such a low weight. I think the dry weight of this bike is about 185. So dry weight of 185, all this torque makes it extremely maneuverable when you're going for a ride. Now, this is good for basically two reasons, in my opinion. The first one being, oh, I think that's a cop ahead. Maybe. Probably try to avoid him. Okay. The first reason being that when there's something on the road and you kind of want to get out of the way, whether it be a car pulling in front of you, dog running in front of you, whatever, like you see an object on the ground that could potentially make you fall over, it is very maneuverable and it allows you to easily just move the bike out of the way if you're responsive enough, if you have quick reflexes. The second thing that I like about it, which the maneuverability comes in handy, is lane splitting. Now, I do want to lane split here to show you guys, but I'm worried that cop's gonna pick on us. Is it a cop? Oh yeah, it's definitely a cop. We'll just stay away from him. He's looking for mobile users. Got nothing better to do. Anyways, yeah, it's extremely good for lane splitting. And what I'll do is I will show you guys, I'll insert a video to show you guys, to prove my point. very maneuverable and flickable, and it's the reason why they use it in so many stunt shows, movies, and they do wheelies with it. So it's the bike of their choice. Hopefully he'll go straight. All right, he went straight. That's perfect. We can turn left here. Okay. The third point I want to make is this bike is extremely reliable. Now, I've only had this bike for about 15,000 kilometers, and it has not let me down once. I've had it for a year and a half, done about 15,000 kilometers on it, and it's not let me down once. It started every single time, and because I use this bike to commute to work, it's always been reliable. I've always been able to count on it. And some people might say, well, you've only had this bike for 15,000 kilometers. How do you know that it's so reliable? And to that, I would say I've actually got a couple of friends who have MT-07s that I've done more than 50,000 kilometers. Not only that, I've been on the MT-07 forums, and I talked to one guy who was in Malaysia, and he told me that his MT-07 Gen 2 has gone 660,000 kilometers. Now, when I spoke to him, I got a little bit sus. I was thinking, come on, man, 660,000 kilometers is just way too much. But then he showed me pictures as proof. And when I asked him about it, if he'd got any engines replaced or anything like that, he said no, he just does the minor services and major services every 5,000 kilometers, and it's never missed a beat. And that's why I do my own services every 5,000 kilometers instead of the 10,000 kilometers recommended by Yamaha. So let's go into some of the things that those were the main things that I love about this bike. Let's go into some of the things that I dislike about this bike. The first one being that the first thing and the most predominant thing that everyone dislikes about the MT-07 is the suspension, right? Now, the suspension really, I wouldn't say is the worst suspension I've ever been on, but it is pretty bad. And the reason I would say it's bad is because obviously Yamaha had to cut costs somewhere given the price point of this bike. Is this gonna go green? Yep. So Yamaha had to cut costs somewhere given the price point of this bike, and they decided to obviously cut corners in the suspension. Now I'm going to show you why the suspension sucks right up here in a second. So we've got a little speed bump here. It's very small, but you definitely feel it. Can we get it around here? There we go. Once again, I'm only doing 30 Ks, definitely feel it. So any bumps, potholes, gaps in between the road, you're definitely going to feel with this suspension. Now, fortunately for me living in Australia, what are you doing, buddy? Fortunately for me living in Australia, our roads are pretty good and well maintained, so it's not the worst thing. But if you live in a country where it has poor roads, and trust me, I've seen some poor roads. You live in a country where it's got poor roads, potholes everywhere, cracks in the middle of the road, this probably wouldn't be the bike that you want. It's gonna just destroy your ass, is basically the best way I can put it. So suspension, biggest problem of the MT-07, hands down. Everyone will tell you about it, everyone complains about it. If you got good roads, not that big of a deal. If you got crappy roads, it's going to be a big problem. Now, the second thing that is not applicable to me, but will be applicable to others, is, let me just quickly put it in neutral so I can show you, is if you're a tall rider, I'm 6 foot and my feet touches the ground, but if you're over 6 foot, I would say 6'1" is pushing it, but maybe 6'2", 6'3", you're gonna have trouble. Let's see if this goes green. Okay. You're gonna have trouble, and the reason is that when your foot's on the thing, it's, as you can see, oh whoops, I put it into gear accidentally. My bad. When you put your foot up next to the tank, it really makes you feel basically crowded in some sense. You're really inside trying to get some room for yourself, and you can't because your feet are so up on the tank. Whoops, my Siri's on. Yeah, and that is not something that you want. So if you're over 6'2", I would say probably not the most suitable bike for you. It can be done, but it would just be uncomfortable in certain positions. Especially if you think about it, you're tall, you got crappy roads, and the suspension sucks on this. You're gonna have, it's not gonna be the most enjoyable bike for you. Let's just get this light. It's not gonna be the most enjoyable bike for you. Now, my final complaint that I would say, I'm being a little bit picky, but I just personally don't like it, is the throttle tube, and is basically the throttle tube. Now, when you buy it from factory, it comes with a Yamaha MT-07 throttle tube. And these things, if you want to go full twist, you have to give your wrist, I'll show you, I'll give you a demonstration. You have to give your wrist a massive twist. Look how much I have to twist. And that's full twist. So I have to start up here and go all the way down up to here for a full twist. Whereas with other bikes, you can get more power with it'll go full power with half the twist. So what a lot of people like to do is they like to change the throttle tube of the MT-07 to an R6 throttle tube. And a lot of the viewers that obviously watching that I've done that will know why they've done that. They call them wristies, funny enough. Yeah, so that's probably a big problem, because you actually don't know how much power there is, because a lot of people are hesitant to twist the throttle all the way because it twists so much. The other thing that is annoying with this when it comes out of factory is that it has this little play. I don't know if you guys can see that. It has this little play in the throttle tube. And it's not a big deal because you can open up this cover and tighten the bolts on it, and it will fix that. But when it comes out of factory, it has this problem, and a lot of beginner people don't realize that the beginners, right? They don't realize how they don't realize about the play in the throttle, so it becomes less responsive to them. So because you can do a little bit of twist and it doesn't give that much power, it doesn't give any power at all, but then you have to give it a lot for it to be responsive, and it can be a factor for beginners. I personally put it back to stock. I've adjusted it, but I put it back to stock just for this video so I can show people what it's like and how annoying it is, especially for me. So back to the start. All right, opinions. What I think about this bike overall. The aesthetics of this bike is just beautiful. I love it. It's got a very naked Street Fighter look to it. It's very aggressive, especially once you put some of those aesthetic bits and pieces to it. Remove the tidy tail, put the exhaust, clean it up a little bit. So in that sense, I love the aesthetic look of it. I love how it sounds like. I love the playfulness of this bike. And it is a very reliable machine. Anyways guys, I hope that helped. If it did, give us a like, give us a comment, ask me whatever you want about the bike. I'm more than happy to answer where I got the parts and any installation guides you need or anything like that. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. Take care, see ya.